I feel like for me, the hardest point in my life, this is kind of crazy because people always automatically assume that it was the cancer or, the first diagnosis or the second diagnosis, but that's not really the case. I felt worse, like I was at a lower point in my life when when I broke up with my girlfriend. When I was living in Barcelona, I met a girl from Sweden, and we moved together to Sweden from Barcelona to eventually go and move to Sydney together in Australia, where she would go on to become, a doctor, where she would go to study to be a doctor, and I would go and work in Sydney. So before we went there, we would make a pit stop in Stockholm to make some more money, live with her family, save money, before we would start our new chapter together. So for me, at this point in my life, that was the first time for me that I decided that I wanted to be with this person for the rest of my life. Like I had made up my mind that this is going to be the last woman that I'll ever have sex with. This is going to be the mother of my children. So for me, I'm a very all or nothing type of person. So I was like, yeah, it was a done deal for me. So then when the symptoms of the cancer started occurring, and when everything slowly started going to shit, and when eventually she moved to Sydney without me and I couldn't follow because I had medical issues, and then later on, obviously the distance and the fact that we were not able to be in the same geographical location caused us to break up. I had to move back in with my family, in Belgium. I had to move back to my small town in Belgium, and this for me was the hardest part. Like I felt like I had lost everything that I had worked so hard to build in the last 2 years. I was so proud to have my independency, to be free and be my own man, and then I lost everything. I lost her, and she was my foundation. Like I had a very clear plan in my head, and she was the foundation that the whole plan was built upon. So when I lost her, it took me like, I want to say, a good 2 years to get over that. Like I remember the first few months crying in the car every morning driving to work. I was always reliving the relationship in my head, like where had it gone wrong. I kept replaying it like a movie. I was obsessed with her and like why we broke up, and I was reading these self-help books on how to be a stronger man and like all these things that really were not relevant. And yeah, just going from being a strong, healthy man at the age of 23 to being like, somebody living with his parents again and having an unknown disease. Like I didn't know what was wrong with me at the time. Like that for me was rock bottom. And then even after the cancer, I was still thinking about her because she was the last woman that I had been with. So that was the hardest. Like the cancer for me, it was always like, when they told me I had cancer, it was like, okay, so what are we going to do? Like, what's the plan? And then the doctors gave me a plan. They said, we're going to amputate your entire jaw, we're going to put you through radiation, we're going to put you through chemo. So there was a clear plan in order, and any time that I had a plan, I feel good. Like, any time I had a structure to follow to reach a certain objective or goal, I'm good. Like, that's what keeps me from being depressed most of the time. But yeah, with her, with the intangible of love and losing a loved one, losing somebody that you thought was going to be in your life for the rest of your life, like I had no plan for that. So that was for me the hardest part of my life, like the breakup with her. Yeah, and that's 6 years ago now. So yeah, but eventually, thank God, I did get over it. Time heals all wounds. It can take a lot of time. It can take a lot of time, but I remember thinking after 2 years, like, man, am I still thinking about this girl? Like, because I knew for a fact that she never thought about me anymore. Like, I was like a very distant memory, but she was still on my mind. And then Yeah, and then finally you get into this phase where you're like, you know, you're driving and you realize, hey, it's been like 3 days since I thought of her, and the next time it's like, hey, it's been like a week since I thought of her, and you know, then it's like, hey, it's been like a month since I thought of her, and then one day you don't even think about the last time you thought of her. You just don't think about her anymore at all, and you're finally able to move on. So, yeah.